So we're talking in John 5. If you want, go there to John 5. We're talking about this man that Jesus encounters today. This is a guy who has been an invalid for 38 years of his life. He is in really, really bad shape. We don't know if he's 38 years old or not, but we know he's been an invalid for 38 years. And this guy is lying by this pool inside the sheep gate in Jerusalem. The sheep gate is the gate where the animals were brought in. If that gives you any idea of like how important these people were, you go hang out over there by the animals, okay? And maybe, just stay out of the way kind of thing. So by the sheep gate, there's all these people, and they're hanging out, and they're all in bad shape, but this guy's in bad shape. They're near the sheep gate, and he's probably tried, this invalid is for 38 years, probably tried everything that he could think of, or anyone told him, or anything he read on the internet about how to get well, right? How to get better. He's tried it all, and it's been reduced to making his way or getting carried probably as often as possible, probably not every day, but to these 5 colonnades that surround this pool, a Bethesda pool, and there at this pool, all these people are gathered, right? They're crippled and they're blind and they're deaf and they're just gathered around this pool. Could you just imagine that scene, walking into that? I mean, you just walk into this huge pool, probably as big, if not bigger than this room, and there's these colonnades, with pillars and rooftop porches and people lying under them, just like waiting for something to happen. That's their social life, right? They somehow make their way there every morning or a couple times a week. And they get there, and this guy's an invalid, and so he's just laying there. He can't really do anything. And his hope is that an angel would touch the water, and the waters would move a little, and then the first person to get in the pool after the angel, so they thought, stirred the water, would be healed. And that's why he's there. This is his only hope. And we don't know how often the water gets stirred. It could be once a year and once every 5 years. Who knows? Somebody jumped in the water at some point and came out feeling pretty good, and now they all think that somehow there's healing in this water. Maybe there's springs up underneath the water and it puts up a bubble every once in a while. And people think that by jumping in the water, they're going to be well. There's something magical about that water. And so this is this man's situation. He's hoping to get in the water when the angel stirs it. So we're going to read in John chapter 5, the first 9. Well, we're going to read a few more than 9, but here we go. John chapter 5, beginning in verse 1. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. For one of the Jewish festivals, now there was in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lying there, he learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, and he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." And at once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and he walked. The day on which this took place was the Sabbath. And so the Jewish leaders said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath day, and the law forbids you to carry your mat." But he replied, "The man who made me well said to me, 'Pick up your mat and walk.'" And so they asked him, "Who is this fellow who told you to pick up and walk?" And the man who was healed had no idea who it was, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd that was there. And later Jesus found him at the temple and said to him, "See, you are well again. Stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you." The man went away and told the Jewish leaders that it was Jesus who had made him well. Wow, what an amazing story, isn't it? I mean, this guy's life is about to get changed forever. forever. I mean, think about that, 38 years of somehow making your way to this pool by the stinky sheep gate where the animals came in and went out for sacrifices. And so the smell must have been horrific. The people lying there, all diseased and crippled and blind. And, this was like their last hope. I mean, it's such a sad situation if you think about it. How sad would that have been to go to see that, to witness that? But here's this man, and he's there. He's invalid for 38 years, and there you are, right? This man has a problem. 38 years, he's an invalid, but you and I, we may not be invalid, but we have a mess too, right? When God looks at us, we may not be invalid physically, but we're a mess in other ways. Whether it's temptation or sin or attitudes or whatever it is in our life, whatever habits we got going on. However, we're not like him. However, we live on this earth and we're selfish and it's about us. We got our mess. And this guy's an invalid, but we've got a mess too. And there's Jesus, right? And he comes in there and he approaches this man, right? And look at verse 6. Verse 6. There's three things that are going to happen. Two of them are going to pop on the screen. I neglected to get the third one in there. But three things are going to happen next. And what I want you to think about is this, is that these three actions of Jesus kind of reveal to us that Jesus has this mission mind. We've been talking about having a mission mind, that as we go into the world, we're always looking, we're always thinking, we're always trying to point people to Jesus, because that's our purpose in life, right? Is to help other people know him, right? It isn't to make money. It isn't to get rich. It isn't to be famous. It's to help another lost soul find eternal life. That is our purpose as a believer. That's really our only purpose. Nothing else will matter in the end. Heaven and earth will pass away, and all your toys with it, and all your gold, and all your money, and all your retirement. It'll all go. And the only thing that'll stand is people who know Jesus. And so we want to be the ones who help people find Jesus, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're about. Well, that's the mind that Jesus has. So look what happens here in verse 6. Three things happen. First, Jesus saw him, right? He walks into this place, and there's a lot of people. They're blind, they're crippled, they're all over the place, and Jesus sees this one man. Isn't that cool? I mean, he sees you. He sees you exactly where you are, with all your little hang-ups and all your little glitches and your dormitory life. He knows you. He knows you better than you know you. And he sees this man. How awesome is that? How interesting it is to note that Jesus walks into a place and his eyes are open. There's this awareness of Jesus, right? This awareness of Jesus because his eyes are open. And this guy's life is about to be changed because Jesus saw him first. It starts with just noticing. Right? Just an awareness. Awareness. You walk into a grocery store. You walk into your work. You come to church. Wherever you go. Are we just like tunnel visioned? Or are we noticing? Are we aware? Are we looking for God to use us somehow, somewhere, in some way in this place? Wherever I am next, how can God use me next? That's what Jesus does. He walks into a place and he's looking. He's aware. He's aware. He's not worried about buying a can of beans. He's on a mission. He's looking to save souls on the way to buying a can of beans, right? That's what believers do. As we walk with the Spirit, that's what we're doing. We're not just going to the grocery store. We're going on a mission. We come into this place. We come into church. We're not just going to sing some songs and hear a sermon. We're on a mission here. There's people around you that need you. Right? And right now, I need 2 or 3 people, not right this second, but I need 2 or 3 people to step up. I need 2 or 3 people who aren't doing a whole lot around the church to say, hey, I want to be a part of whatever it is you need. I need 3 people to step up because there's some areas around the worship of the church and the work of the church and the ministry of the church that I could use 3 people to get with me and help me out to make this better for all of us. So if that's you, just come up to me and say, hey, I'll meet with you. I want to get involved somehow. Say, I need 3 people. Did everybody hear me? 3 people. I need 3 people. So you just keep that. Be aware, okay? Jesus saw what was going on. He's aware of what's going on. Second thing is this. Jesus learned of his condition. Like, didn't Jesus already know? Right? I mean, you're like, God knows everything. But it says right there in the verses that Jesus learned of his condition. Do you see it? Are you looking at it? I hope you're looking at your word. Jesus learned. In other words, he asked some people, like, what's going on with this guy? Like, how long has he been like that? This is Jesus, the Son of God, and he's concerned about this guy. Not only is he aware and is he looking around, but he cares. He cares enough to ask some questions about what is going on in this guy's life. And he learns some things about the man. He sees, he cares enough to learn, and look what happens next. He speaks to the man. 3 simple things, like as clear as the nose on your face, right? He just sees, he's aware, he looks into the situation, he finds out what's going on, he asks some questions, and then he talks to the man. In other words, he connects with the guy. He just simply speaks to him. He opens his mouth. You know, and sometimes we're afraid to do that. You know, we may see something, we might even learn of it, but sometimes we're just like fearful to say something. Right? Ever been there? Just afraid to open your mouth and say, hey, what's going on? Or, hey, can I pray for you? Or just ask a question. Just find out what's going on with this person, your friend, maybe a coworker, somebody. Just we're afraid to go. We don't want to bother them. I'm afraid I don't have the right answer. You know, we come up with all these devil excuses why we don't say something instead of just saying something. Just say something. I mean, what's the worst can happen? I as a preacher, I go into a lot of like hospital rooms, and people will say, "Hey, my cousin's in the hospital. Can you go see him?" Right? Over the years, I don't know the cousin, but I'll go. Yeah, sure, I'll go. And you never know what kind of like response you're going to get. I walk in the room. You walk in the room. You're like, "Hey, I'm John from the church, and your cousin asked me to come and see how you're doing." And it always comes down to, can I pray for you? And at that moment, I don't know what I'm getting. At that moment, it's like the revelation that this person is an atheist usually comes out, right? Like, no, I don't want you to pray for me. Get out of my room. And I've had that response before. There's all kinds of responses from people. You never know what you're going to get, but you go ask anyway. So what's the worst? They say no? Oh, well. At least we're doing what God wants us to do, right? If they turn away, that's up to them, right? But if we don't give them an option, that's on us. If you don't say to your coworker, if you don't say to your friend, if you're not noticing somebody who needs maybe the Lord in their life and you don't speak up, that's on us. Jesus, he's aware. He looks into it. He speaks up and he asks this guy, look what he asked him. He says, do you want to get well? Wow, that's kind of a weird question, isn't it? Considering this guy's situation, it almost seems like a no-brainer, right? Do you want to get well? At first you're like, Jesus, if you're standing next to Jesus, you'd be like, Jesus, the guy's been invalid for 38 years. Of course he wants to get well. What kind of question is that? But the fact of the matter is not everybody wants to get well. Some people like their drama. They like it a lot. They don't want to get well. They like the attention. I'm used to this, this awesome colonnade. I lay under this thing all the time. This is like it, man. This is my, what would I do if I weren't here? Some people don't want to get well. You go into a prison and you ask somebody, do you want to be free? Not everybody's going to say yes. Isn't that weird? People are comfortable in jail. They're so used to it, they've given up all hope, and they know they're better off in prison than free. This guy, Jesus asked the question, do you want to get well? And I'm guessing it's because there are layers and layers and layers of stuff in this guy's life that he's working through. He has to begin to work through. Do I really want to get well? It's like, do you really want to follow Jesus, right? Sure, on the outside we do. But are you willing to take up your cross and follow Jesus, really? Are you willing to sacrifice everything to follow Jesus? Are you willing to speak when you're not comfortable speaking for Jesus? See, we would all say, yeah, I want to follow Jesus, but do we really want to follow Jesus? Really? Do you want to get well? Do you really want to get well? And I could imagine this guy is struggling with this. And some people like having all the issues that they have. But in verse 7, the invalid replies. Look what it says. Notice, there's no name here. It's not John or Dave or Doug. It's just no name. It's the invalid for 38 years. That's his name. That's his identity at this moment. No name. And he says to Jesus, because he doesn't really know who Jesus is, he says, "Sir," and he says, "I have no one to help me into the pool when it is stirred." You know, the belief of this angel stirring the water, and the first one in gets healed. He says, every time somebody beats me to it. I mean, this is sad. This is a sad scene, right? Really sad scene. "Sir, I have no one to help me into the pool." He doesn't really answer Jesus' question. Jesus' question was, do you want to get well? The answer is either yes or no. Not, I have no one to help me into the water. That's not answering the question. Right? That's how much despair has come into this guy's life. That's how hopeless this man is. He doesn't even know if he wants to get well anymore. All his mind is focused on is watching the water and getting in it when it's stirred, hoping that he might be the first one in. And this guy doesn't have a chance in lots of places to even get in the pool before someone else. Right? He doesn't. He's an invalid. He can't move. Now, this is kind of crazy, and your mind can go crazy on this, so don't go too far. But can you imagine this scene? I mean, this is a sad situation. But could you imagine after 38 years the pranks that are going on around this pool? You know? I mean, some people are just staring at the water. 38 years, staring at the water. Man, if it erupts, if there's a bubble, I'm rolling. You know, and they're thinking how they're going to make their way into that water, and they're getting as close as they can. They want to make sure the path is clear, and if they can't walk, they're going to hobble, they're going to roll, they're going to crawl, they're going to do it. And then there's the blind. They can't even watch the water. They're listening. And could you imagine over there? Some guy over there going, watch this. Boom, throws a pebble into the... Could you imagine all the stuff that was going on in this place? Don't tell me you don't do that to people. You know you do. You do that to your family, you do that to your brothers, you do that to your sisters. All kinds of weird stuff goes on. I could tell you about some weird stuff that my older brothers did to me. And you would go, that is sheer sinfulness. And it was mean. But that's how we are, right? That's how people are. Could you imagine all this stuff? Somebody plops in the water and go, oh, that's Bob again. He thought the water got stirred. Pull him out. I mean, this is a really bizarre scene. I can't even imagine what went on in this picture that's going on. But this guy, he's like, well, Jesus says, you want to go well? He says, I have no one to help me in the water when it's stirred. Like as if anybody's going to help him. They want in, right? They're there to get in. You know, they're diving in, swan diving, rolling in, cannonballing, whatever they can do. But this is a really sad scene. Check it out. It's near the sheep gate. Lots of animals coming and going. The smell is probably terrible. There's a pool, and they've built 5 covered colonnades so that these people can come and lie there out of the sun and get the shade and be ready for whatever happens to the water so they can get in there. All these people, right, crippled, blind, diseased, lying there waiting for the water. Many, many years probably go on before the water gets stirred again. This guy's odds of getting in first are slim to none. And who is it that goes and sees him? Jesus. The place you and I would probably never go. We would never go there. Sad, crazy, bizarre. We would never be found in that place. And who walks in? Jesus. He goes to them, to the people there, and he's not going to heal them all. He's just going to talk to this one guy, and he's going to say to him, "Do you want to get well?" That's quite the question. And the invalid doesn't answer. He just simply says, "I have no one to help me." Verse 8, Jesus says, and you got to love this, Jesus says to him, he says, "Do you want to get well?" The man says, "I have no one to help me." Jesus says, "Get up, pick up, and walk." Isn't that awesome? Just, you don't need the water. You don't need anything. You just need me. God is saying to us, you don't need this stuff that the world says you've got to have. You just need me. If you just come to me for your healing and for your strength and for your encouragement and for hope and for purpose, for all the things that we long for as human beings, all the things we go chasing after, thinking this psychologist or that psychiatrist or this method or this bar or that drink or that stoke or whatever it is, we go chasing after, thinking that somehow that's going to help us. And it's not. It's only going to make it worse. It's going to make your situation worse. Jesus says to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." No mud, no dip yourself in the water, no hocus pocus, no touch, just words of life from Jesus. Get up, pick up, and walk. Notice three things that Jesus' mind is doing. He's aware, right? He's aware of what's going on. He looks into the man's situation and he speaks to the man. Three things Jesus does and three things Jesus asks this man to do. All of them are actions. None of them are do nothing. They are all action words. Get up, pick up, and go. That's pretty good, isn't it? Maybe that's what we need to hear today. Right? Maybe that's all we need to hear today. Just words of life from Jesus and a call to do something. Just a call to action. To say, "Here I am, God, use me. I'll do whatever I need to do to help the cause. I'll do whatever I need to do to help the church grow. I'll do whatever I need to help the kingdom move forward." And I know that in the process, my faith is going to move. By just serving, by just getting involved, just doing it. You know, this isn't a real gentle touch of Jesus. This isn't Jesus like touching the man's face and saying, "Oh, God loves you." This isn't really a gentle move here. Okay, when he asked the question, "Do you want to get well?" and the man responded simply by saying, "I have no one to help me in the water," he had to notice that this man had lost all hope in God. His only hope was the water. And you know what? Sometimes we place all of our hope in something else other than God. And that's what this man had done. He had put all his hope in some physical thing that might happen to the water, and if he got his physical body in there, somehow he would be well. And Jesus is not real gentle with this guy. Check it out. He seems to be really firm. He's like this no beat around the bush approach. It's almost like this challenge to this guy, and maybe that's what you need to hear today too. Get up, pick up, and walk. Right? Maybe that's just what we need to hear, because we get really good at feeling sorry for our situations, right? Stop waiting for your ship to come in. This is like a no coddling, let's get going kind of encounter with this man. It's a get up and do something for your own cause first, and then for the cause of those around you, or get up and at least start trusting God. But get up. Go do something. You know, we've become a society, I think, of wimps. We're a society of wimps, right? Where's the fire? We are over-counseled, we are too tolerant, and we are spiritual pansies. And in God, we're called to be warriors. We're called to engage the battle, right? A spiritual battle for the souls of people. And yes, it's a messy battle. There are spills, there are stains, and there are splatters, and they'll get all over you if you're in the battle. If you want a clean, neat Jesus, you're probably in the wrong place. There's nothing clean and neat about following Jesus. It's messy. If you're on the front lines of walking with Jesus, you are going to get friendly fire. You are going to get splattered on. The world is going to hit you first. The devil is going to come crashing down on your head. If it's too calm for you, maybe it's because you're so far removed from the front lines, you're not useful to anything. And maybe what you need to do is just come charging up to the front. Maybe what you need to say, I need to get up, step up, pick it up, and get moving. I need to go forward with God. I need to do something amazing for Him and with Him. See, we're called to engage in a messy battle. But until healing comes, and we get it right, we are called to engage, right? We're called to fight. We're called to stand. We're called to battle. We will get up, and we will pick up, and we will walk, right? Because that's what we do as believers. In the face of death, in the face of sickness, in the face of negativism, in the face of trial, and in the face of temptation, we will get up, we will pick up, and we will go, right? That's our heart. And what we need is a little bit of spiritual and mental toughness, some Christ-like courage, and a lot of mission-mindedness, right? That it's not about us and my feelings. This is about a war that is taking people to hell. Did you get that? To hell. Not to the doctor, the hospital, to hell. Separated from life and God forever. It's not about our feelings. It's not about this guy's feelings. It's about, do you want to get well, really? Under all the ravel, under the depth of it all, are you really wanting to get well? Stop blaming, right? We got to stop blaming all of our woes on potty training, right? It all goes back to potty training. Stop putting our hope in like cheap fixes when Jesus is the answer to everything for you and for me. Verse 9, at once, the scripture says the man was cured, right? At once the man is cured. Complete healing. 38 years, invalid, gone. And an invalid is a person who has, as defined, has no force. They have no ability to project themselves or propel themselves. They have no ability. They're invalid. They're just stationary. They have no strength. They're feeble. They're sickly. They're weak. And they are dying quicker than a normal person because their body is shutting down. 38 years invalid, gone. He's healed just like that. And the evidence of his healing is that he picks up his mat and he walks. That's good. That's good stuff, right? Don't you want as a believer, don't you want to see people healed? I mean, isn't that what this is all about? This is about seeing other people get healed through Christ. It's about other people coming to know Jesus and finding salvation, finding grace, being grafted onto the vine, right? Once they were cut off and separated, and God somehow uses us to bring people to Him because we're aware and we engage and we connect and we are doing the things that He wants us to do, not for our salvation, but for theirs. Isn't that what we want most? I hope so. Where people are cured, where they find Jesus and maybe not all their physical problems are taken care of, but their spiritual one is. Their heart is right with God, and they begin to find joy, and they find salvation, and they find hope, and they find healing in Him, where they then get up, pick up, and walk. I mean, isn't that the greatest thing on earth to be a part of? I mean, it really is. There's nothing greater. There's no championship or Super Bowl title, or there's nothing out there greater than watching somebody find healing in Jesus. There's nothing greater out there. Give yourself to it. Fully give yourself to it. Many are spiritual invalids. They're blind, and they're deaf, and they're weak, and they're lost, and they need you. They need you to get to them. And I don't know how long an invalid can live. And I don't know, if Jesus did not come to the pool that day, what may have happened to this man. Maybe another 38 years, maybe at best, of this man being dragged to this colonnade, waiting and hoping for the water to be moved. What a miserable existence that would have been. But Jesus did come, didn't he? He came to you too, didn't he? He came to you. He came to you. He came to me. And we invited him. We said, yes, Jesus, we need you. I need you. We simply humbled ourselves and said, God, I need you. I'm sick. I'm invalid. I'm blind. I'm lame, very lame. And I need you, right? We came to a place where we realized, I am this guy. I may not have the same symptoms, but I'm just like him. And I need Jesus too. And what's he do? Right? This man's life is changed. He has this encounter with Jesus. His life is changed forever. He gets up and he walks and he's carrying his mat. Faith has been born in him. The faith of God has been born in him. And not faith in the water, not faith in anything else, but faith only in Jesus, the person. And what does he do? I love what he does. He goes into action, right? He breaks every kind of Jewish law that you can. I love that about this. He shares that he was healed by a guy, right? Jesus vanishes into the crowd. The Jewish leaders are right there, Johnny on the spot, and they question this guy. Why are you carrying your mat? Because that's what religious people care about. And there's a whole list of things religious people care about, from carpet to color of paint, to coffee, to chandeliers. Why are you carrying your mat? Those are the words of a religious person. How about you just celebrate the guy's healed? 38 years you watched him, and now he's walking, and you don't give a rip. You're more concerned that he's carrying his mat. How stupid are you? Right? That is the dumbest thing I could ever hear. They're worried about his mat. Jesus vanishes into the crowd. And later Jesus finds this man. And he has some final words for him. Look at verse 10 through 15 real quick. The day on which this took place. This is rebel Jesus, okay? The day on which this took place is the Sabbath day, right? Rebel Jesus. There you are, stirring up those religious people again, right? Verse 10, and so the Jewish leaders said to the man who had been healed, it is the Sabbath. The law forbids you, our law, not God's law, our law forbids you to carry your mat. You won't find that in the Bible. You're not going to find in any gospel where Jesus said, and don't you ever carry your mat on the Sabbath. Not going to find that there. You're going to find it in the list of religious people, though, along with thousands of other things you shouldn't do because you're a Christian, right? The law forbids you to carry your mat. And where did these Jewish guys come from, right? I'll tell you where they came from, the shadows. Because the shadow knows, right? Because they're standing on the edges. These are the people who sit on the edges watching. What's he going to do? What's he going to do now? You know, and they're judging everything. They're righteous. They're judging what's going on. They're not engaged. They don't care about what Jesus is doing. They don't care about what Jesus is about. They don't care about God's kingdom at all. All they care about is their own little world, keeping it the way they like it. And they're judging them. He's looking at them like, what is he going to do next? Oh, we got to go talk to that guy. He's carrying his mat on the Sabbath. He's breaking one of our laws. Is that not absurd to you? I hope it is. And I hope we're making connections here because we do this too. We have our ideas of what people should do when they know they're believers. This is what the church should do. This is what it should all be about. And it's all us. It's our rules. It's our man-made stuff. It's not biblical at all. And there they come from the shadows. Verse 11, but he replied, the man who made me well, I don't even know his name, but he made me well. Here I am standing up walking. He said, pick up your mat and walk. Well, he just made me heal. I got up and I picked up my mat. It's my stuff. I'm going to take it home with me. You know, I picked up my mat. I just did what he said. He healed me. He's an amazing man. He healed me. I'm walking with my mat. Do you notice me? Yo, here I am, 38 years, invalid. Now I'm walking and I'm carrying my mat. Can you not be happy? Isn't that crazy? All they can see is, whoa, dude walking with mat. Rule number 75. Write him a ticket. Right? That's what they're worried about. So they asked him, who is this fellow who told you to pick up and walk? We've got to meet him. The man who was healed had no idea who it was, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd that was there. Probably because he didn't want the applause of people. Probably because he didn't want to stir up a riot at that moment. But he just slips away, right? Just does a good deed and just gets out of there. Isn't that awesome? I mean, that's how it's done. That is just how it's done. That is pro-Jesus, right? Just come on in, assess the situation, heal the guy, and just get on your way, right? Just get out of there. You don't need applause. You don't need a pat on the back. You don't need people to put you on the screen. Say, oh, what an awesome job he did. Who cares? Just serve God, right? Just serve God, right? That's what this is about. Serve God, watch people get well, and just go on to the next, right? We don't know why Jesus slipped away. Maybe it would put an end to the pool people. The pool people wouldn't have to come to the pool anymore because the pool is a bunch of rubbish. What they needed was God, and so maybe this would forget it. There's been a disturbance at the pool today. The pool is closed. You've probably heard that at your local, community pool, usually when somebody's done something they shouldn't have done in the pool. Right? But the pool is closed today. Who knows? Maybe that would have happened here, and so Jesus just slips away. Like something doesn't go great, and we're so ready to just shut the whole thing down. We can't have this going on. We can't have people picking up their mats and walking on this Sabbath day. Later, Jesus found him at the temple, and he said to him, see, you are well again. Now get this. He says to him, see, you're well again. You're walking, you're healed, you're completely healed. He says to him then, stop sinning or something worse may happen to you. So, no, this man wasn't invalid because he had sinned. Jesus is simply saying to him that if you sin and you stay removed from God, then something worse than being an invalid for 38 years is going to happen to you. So don't sin. Your physical healing isn't what you're really needing. What you're really needing is to be right with God and have your sins forgiven. And don't go on sinning. Or the invalid part is going to be like a cakewalk compared to hell, right? That's what Jesus is saying. And he's saying that to all of us, right? Stop sinning, or something worse than the worst thing you could ever imagine is going to happen to you. Hell is much worse. And the man went away, and what's he do? He goes to the Jewish leaders, and he tells them, hey, I got a name for you now, right? And his name is Jesus. Jesus is the guy who made me well, so you do what you got to do, right? Jesus didn't tell him not to go tell them who he was. He said, stop sinning. And the man went and he told him, Jesus is the guy who healed me. And they began to plot. If you read on, they begin to plot against Jesus, how they might get him and kill him. They want him out. He's stirring up too much of their religious stuff. He's got to go. Got to go. That happens in churches too. All right. Happens in churches a lot. Got somebody stirring up stuff. Got to go. No good deed goes unpunished, does it? Mm-hmm. Jesus does this good thing. The invalid is healed. His life is changed. And the religious people never like anything. Right? You would think they'd be happy, but they're not. But that doesn't stop Jesus, right? He confronts it. He moves forward with those who are willing to go. That's what he does. He simply confronts the evil. And he keeps going forward, and anyone who wants, come on, let's go. We're going forward. We're going forward. That's what Jesus does, right? What a great encounter, right? 38 years invalid, but now his faith is propelled. And here's what we gain, 3 quick things. Jesus, number 1, Jesus has the power to heal anything. anything. No matter how long you've been battling with it, no matter how long you've been fighting it, no matter how long it's been plaguing your life, Jesus can heal anything. Amen? Amen, that's right. Number 2, Jesus doesn't care about 2 things. He doesn't care about your lame excuses, right? He doesn't care. I don't care about my lame excuses. Oh, Lord, I'm so tired. Oh, Lord, this. Oh, Lord, that. He doesn't care about that, right? Get up, pick up, and let's go. That's tough Jesus, right? I love that. I just love that about Jesus. He doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't He doesn't pussyfoot around, right? He just says, let's go. And I love that about him because that's what we need. Let's go. No lame excuses. He doesn't care about those, and he doesn't care about the religious laws of man. He does not care about our laws. He doesn't care about what we think we should do. What he cares about is the Word. He cares about what he said and what he gave us to do, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about our lame excuses, and he doesn't care about our religious laws. And number 3, this, Jesus will go out of his way to reach lost people. Isn't that good? Jesus will go out of his way to reach lost people, right? I mean, isn't that good? Just go do that, right? Let's just do that. Let's just go out of our way to reach lost people. Go get involved somewhere. This man in a diseased and stinky porch, that's where he is, right? And Jesus goes there to reach this man. It's the woman at the well, right? In a desert where he should not be, that he goes to reach her. It's a religious seeker who comes to him at night named Nicodemus that he spends time talking to him. And it's a royal nobleman who came begging, heal my son, and Jesus took the time. He'll go out of his way for you if you'll let him. Perhaps the greatest thought we can get out of this is, do you really want to get well? Because that's really where it's at. Because if it down deep is not God, I just want you above everything. If that is not our heart, if our heart is not God, it's just you I want. Above everything else. I don't care about the stuff of the world. I want you. If that is not what's really down deep in our heart, then it's not going to matter because you really don't want to be well. You want to chase after stuff. Or you want to have it your way. Or you like it this, or you like that, or whatever. There's something else that has become your idol, your God, and you're going after it. And Jesus will let you. He'll let you. But he wants you to be healed. He loves you, and he's going out of his way for you, and he's going out of his way for me, and he simply wants to impact our lives like he did this man's so that our faith will move. So that our faith will move, and then the evidence of our faith moving is that other people's lives are touched. People come to know him. They get up, they pick up, and they walk, and we see with evidence that God and fruit, that God is using our lives to change other people's lives, and that's the evidence that something is happening. And that's what I want. I don't know about you, but that's what I want for my life. That's what I want in my heart. Is just to be used by God, to change lives, to point people to him. And not everybody in this room wants that. Not everybody in this room or in any group wants to be well. We're stuck. Some of us are stuck in our way. We're stuck in our invalid condition, and we like it that way because we're so used to it. And it would take layers and layers of work to get to the bottom of it. The good news is Jesus is willing to go there if you are. You know, he'll go there with you if you'll just give in. If you'll just surrender and say, God, I'm tired of playing religious games. It's a joke. I just want you. I just want you. Just reach deep down into my soul, God, and change me. You know, and just that crying out to God is what we need. Would you just bow your heads with me?